is in the building.
It's Mr. Steal Your Girl. It's Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Hey ladies, welcome to the Burpees for Breakfast Push-Up Challenge. Before we get started, I just wanted to do a quick introduction video to let you know a little bit more about the goals of this challenge and give you a step-by-step guide of how it's going to work and how to actually progress your push-up. So the goal of this challenge is to not only help you progress your push-ups, but to also make sure that they look pretty, meaning that you have good form. There's a ton of challenges out there that start with, let's say, 5 push-ups on day 1, 6 push-ups on day 2. By the end of the week, you're supposed to be doing 10 to 15 push-ups. The thing is, if you can't do push-ups with good form, you're just doing 15 to 20 push-ups with poor form. So while you might be progressing in your number, you're not really getting better at your form, which is not really what we want. So this challenge is combining both of those things. We're gonna work on form and we're gonna work on progression. The goal of the challenge is to identify weak spots within your push-up, share with you practical steps on how to strengthen those weak spots, offer you a plan of progressing your push-ups, and share with you some tips on how to maintain after you've reached that big goal. So what do you need for this challenge? You will need some kind of elevation. So whether it's a box, a bench, a step, a table. You can see behind me here, I've got the aerobic steps at the gym. If you have access to the aerobic steps and you're starting your push-ups on elevation, I highly, highly recommend using the aerobic steps. Those are really gonna help you and you're really gonna be able to see the progression from the elevation you start at all the way down to the ground. If you don't have access to a gym or the aerobic steps, as long as you have some kind of bench or step or table and maybe a couple different varying heights, then you'll be good to go. A mat is always great, and then if you have a resistance band, that's gonna help you with a couple of the accessory exercises that we do just to help you build on those weak spots. If you don't have a resistance band, it's okay, there are other options, but if you have one, I would definitely keep it handy. So let's go over the steps of this challenge to kind of set you up and then set the tone for the challenge. Before we do anything, let's address mindset. You all know that I'm a huge proponent of making sure your mindset is in the right space and that you have a mindset ready for change. If you come into this challenge saying, Jen, I can only do push-ups on my knees, or Jen, I'm never gonna be able to do push-ups on my toes, you honestly probably won't be able to. You've got to update your mindset. You've got to know that, hey, it's going to take some work for me to get to potentially push-ups on my toes, or if you can do push-ups on your toes to increase your rep range or to do a plyometric push-up or something like that. You've got to know and believe that you can get there and understand that it just might take some time. So first things first, change up that mindset. If you're telling yourself I can't do it, or if I can only do girl push-ups, that's likely where you're going to stay. And let's address the girl push-up issue here. Are there any other exercises out there that have the word girl in front of it? Are there girl squats? Are there girl deadlifts? Are there girl pull-ups? Not really. There's really no such thing as a girl push-up. There's a variation of a push-up where you're on your knees. But that's just kind of another mindset barrier to overcome. Get rid of that word girl. You are going to be working towards push-ups on your toes. You're going to be working on push-up variations, okay? Get rid of. So next up, we're going to establish a baseline. If we're working on any kind of goal, we always want to know where we started so that we can see how far we progressed. So the way we're going to do this for this challenge is you're going to see how many push-ups you can do. I'll show you a little demo here in just a moment, but ideally, you're either going to get on the ground on your toes, perform as many push-ups as you can, or if you're not able to do them on the ground yet, you're going to work on an elevation, and you're going to find an elevation that challenges you a little bit, but that's not too easy. So for example, if you're unable to do push-ups on your toes, it's pretty likely that if you were to set yourself up on a wall to do wall push-ups, you'd be able to knock those out pretty easily. So you kind of want a mid-range from the floor to the ground, where you're going to work in the middle if you find that you can't do push-ups on your toes. You're going to do as many as you can in a row without stopping, with good form. Once you are unable to perform a rep between 3 to 5 seconds, that's where you're going to stop, okay? So check out this little demo and I'll show you how it works.
Throw your hands up, tell security we about to tear this club up. Bottoms up, pocket full of green. Girl, you know I love the way you shake it in them jeans. Bottoms up, throw your hands up. Bottoms up, bottoms up, bottoms up. You know what it is, girl, we back up in this thing. Money stay in my pocket, girl, I'm like a walking bank. Tell me what you drink, tell me what you think. If I go get these bottles, we go alcohol and tank. Calling all the girls, do you hear me? All around the world, city to city. Cheers to the girls, or deuce to the guys. Now I got a chicken and a goose and a rag, getting loose in a rag. Hey, ass nigga, you can move to the move to the move to the side. Bottoms up, ever see you cup? Got a couple bottles, but a couple ain't enough.
So you can see from the video there that obviously I wasn't able to do it on the ground to start with. So instead, I went to an elevation. Now, you might have to play around with your elevation a little bit to find out what's going to work best for you. Obviously, I had that set up, and I knew that would be a good elevation for me. So you can see that the first, maybe 5 or 6 reps looked pretty good. Towards 7 and 8, I started to slack a little bit. You notice my lower back and belly were sagging a little bit. You notice that it just looked a little bit difficult for me, especially on number 10 there. You saw that I was working towards 11. I couldn't quite get there. So if you find yourself, you're going, you're doing well, it's starting to get a little bit difficult. If it takes 3 to 5 seconds for you to either finish up a rep or complete a rep or start a rep, stop and then choose a number beforehand, okay? So you saw for me on 11, I wasn't really doing good. I would not count that 11. I would count it as 10 full reps, okay? So if you're in between 7 and 8, and that eighth one, you just can't get it, or it's taken, 5 to 6 seconds for you to complete it, 7 is gonna be your baseline number. Next up, we're gonna create a goal. So this can be a rep range goal, or this can be a goal to do a full push-up on the ground. Wherever you start, let's create that goal. So let's say, for example, you saw in that past video, I got to about 10 repetitions before my form started to slack and before I really had to wait more than, let's say, 3 to 5 seconds to perform the next rep. So for me, my goal might be, I can currently do 10 push-ups with great form on an elevation of 8 steps. By the end of 2 weeks, I would like to be able to do 10 repetitions with good form with only on 4 steps. So see, that's a progression there. I started on 8, I'm working to 4, and ideally my end goal is to be able to do 10 full push-ups on the ground. But I always have to take baby steps. I've got to start somewhere. So that could be an example of a goal. Let's say you can knock out 25 to 30 push-ups on the ground already. What will your goal be? You have a couple of different options. You can either increase your rep range, say you want to get to 50 without stopping. That could be a goal. Let's say I mastered the 30 full push-ups without rest. This time, now I want to work on some plyometric push-ups or maybe some clapping push-ups, or I really want to be able to work on my decline push-ups or maybe a one-arm push-up. If you're already in that high rep range, I would say 50 reps is kind of an end goal, just because of the time it's going to take you to do more than 50, upwards maybe like even of 80 to 100 push-ups. That's going to take you some time. So rather than always doing a rep range, you can do a push-up variation, okay? So the other thing with your goal is to make sure that it is a SMART goal, so that it is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So let's go back to the 10 push-ups on an elevation of 8 steps. If my end goal is to be able to do 10 push-ups on the ground, but right now I can only do 10 with great form on an elevation, saying that at the end of the week I want to be able to do 10 on the floor strict push-ups with great form might not be the most realistic, timely, or attainable goal. Okay, so kind of think through how long it might take you, think about those baby steps in between, and understand that you can always tweak your goal. Okay, so let's say at the end of the week, you've already knocked it down to 4 steps, and that was your 2-week goal. Your 2-week goal was to say by the end of 2 weeks, I want to be able to do 10 on an elevation of 4. Let's say you've already gotten to 4. That means you can tweak your goal, and you can say, okay, at the end of the week, I already made it halfway through my goal in the 2 weeks. So at the end of the 2 weeks, I want to be able to do 10 on the ground. You can always do something like that Don't be afraid to tweak. Don't be afraid to change things up. You might not be able to progress as quickly as you think you can, so don't be afraid to regress, okay? After you've created that goal, think about your weak spots. So if you saw in the video that towards the end, the up portion of my push-up looked a little bit, look not great. If I continued, I would definitely have more struggle on the up portion. Look to see where your weak spots are, and then let's fill that in with some work to strengthen those weak spots. So again, I struggled on the up portion, meaning I'm gonna go to the video that says, if you struggle with the up portion, here are exercises that you can do, and here are things that you can think about as you're performing your push-up to help you with the up portion. Okay, so wherever you struggle, so there's gonna be options for if you struggle with the up, there's gonna be options for if you struggle with the down, and then there's gonna be some accessory exercises in there that are just gonna be great kind of all around to help you with your push-up. If you're not sure where you struggle, take a video of yourself. If you can't feel it as you're doing the push-up, take a video, watch that video back, and then figure out where you struggle. Next up, we are going to keep track. So I've provided a tracker for you. On the top of it, you'll see you can add your baseline, so your baseline repetitions from the first step. And then there's a tracker each day. So you can break this up a couple of different ways. And you'll see that in the tracker as well in some of the supporting documents I've provided. We can either work on a rep range per day, we can work on alternating our accessory exercises, or we can combine them together. Let's take the original example of 10 repetitions on an elevation of 8, struggling with the up portion. So what I would do is, at least 3 to 4 days of my workouts this week, I would try to incorporate 4 to 5 sets of 10 push-ups on an elevation of 8. So that means anywhere in my workout, I can do it at the beginning, I can do it at the end. If I don't want to do everything in my workout, I can say when I wake up, I'm going to work on my 10 set, or I'm going to work on my set of 10. When I go to bed, I'm going to work on a set of 10, and then throughout the day, I'm going to try to get in 1 to 2 sets of 10 push-ups. This can be when you're at work and you've gone to the bathroom and you've got a sink on an elevation, knocking out 10 push-ups there. The goal of this is to work on muscle memory, to work on that mind-muscle connection, and to work on practice. Practice makes progression, okay? So when I was doing this a couple of months ago to work on my push-ups, I started on an elevation of 8 as well. My goal for it was to be able to knock out 10 to 20 on the ground with great form and not have it be a struggle. So I started with elevation of 8 as well. And every day for a week that I was at the gym working out, I performed 4 to 5 sets of 10 reps each. By the end of the week, I would lower the box by 1 step. So I was doing 7 the next week. And as I continued to work on my form, and as I continued to get more comfortable, I would assess. So if by the end of the week I was working on 6, an elevation of 6, but it was really easy for me, I might lower the box 2 and even, go down even further. So again, we can either do the 4 to 5 sets of 10 reps, 3 to 4 days of the week. On those other days, or in addition to my actual workout, I can work on some of the accessory moves. So I had trouble on the up portion, which means I'm gonna wanna work on some internal core stabilizer exercises, and I'm really gonna work on when I'm doing those 4 to 5 sets of 10 on the up portion. So I might lower down pretty quickly, I might hold it a couple seconds, and then lower up or come up nice and slow. So I can either work those accessory exercises into my workout, or I can do it on the off days, okay? So I'll give you a couple options on the document that you can see, but the key here is to track the number of push-ups you do in a day, and even probably at least at the end of the week, how you're feeling. Do you feel better on your form? Do you feel like maybe the next week you can go down even further? Maybe you can add a couple more repetitions. Keep track of how you're feeling and how many reps you've completed. Post it in the squad. So every day for the next 2 weeks, in addition to your daily posts that we do, there's going to be a pretty push-up progressions post. How's that for alliteration for you? So every day in that post, I will just say, how are push-ups going? What are you struggling with? What can we help you with? This is your opportunity to say, I'm kicking my goal and I'm gonna meet it before the end of the 2 weeks, or I'm really still struggling with the down portion of my push-up. I've tried some of the moves that you showed me, I'm working on the accessory work, but I'm still just not getting it. That's an opportunity for you to ask those questions, to share your struggles, to share your successes. I'll respond in to any questions. If anyone else in the group has any responses or maybe things that have helped them, they can share that as well. And just another quick thing, if you're really struggling and you've tried some of the things that I've already shared, you've looked at the videos, take a video yourself so that I can see what's happening. So if you're saying, I'm really struggling, with that down portion, I've tried all the exercises, I'm still not getting it, what's going on? Shoot a video, add it to the Facebook group, and I'll take a look and we can work on it from there. I will be doing a giveaway, a t-shirt giveaway at the end of this challenge. So I've provided a Google document as well. What you're gonna do is you're gonna just sign up on the Google Doc by adding your name. At the end of this week, you are going to go back to that Google tracker. You're gonna add the number of push-ups that you did for the week. And then you're going to be done. And then the second week, you're going to add the number of push-ups you did again. And on that Saturday, actually it'll probably be in 2 weeks on Sunday, after everybody's added what they did for the week, I will pick a random winner and they will win a super cool, fun t-shirt. Okay, gals, the most important thing is to have fun with this challenge. Doing a challenge, it can be easy to stress and obsess. Maybe you missed a day here or there. Don't sweat it. The most important thing is that you're actively working towards your goal, that you're understanding that life happens and sometimes you just might not be able to get in those push-ups for the day, and that's okay. Keep in mind that there's a template there for doing this for an entire month, okay? So even if you start it and you say, you know what, life is just too busy, I can't do it right now, that's okay. You're gonna have access to this information so that maybe next month you're like, I'm ready to knock out my push-ups, I'm gonna get going, and you've got everything that you need, all right? So have fun, enjoy this, and I'm super excited to see your progressions.
Tell me what you drink, tell me what you think. If I go get